Welcome to the final installment of Book Spotlight Undead World Trilogy. No, Book Spotlights are going away, but it is the final one regarding the Undead World Trilogy because this is a trilogy and this is the third video. So here we are. So here's Redemption of the Dead. This is the third and final book in the Undead World Trilogy. This is where everything comes together. This is where everything climaxes, and this is where we find out the result of Joe and his friends and their efforts to combat the evil that has overtaken the world. And this book was written in conjunction with my book from the Axioman saga called City of Ruin. They were written together, not like going from one to the other back and forth, but rather I wrote one, I wrote the other over the course of 3 weeks. It was a time of just non-stop writing. It was 12 to 13,000 word days, and it was spent doing like 2,000 word chunks and then having a short snooze and then going back to the keyboard and writing out another little bit and then go doze for a bit and then come back and think about the story. And it eventually got done really quickly. But at the same time, I find for myself as a writer, I write best under pressure, under a deadline, under just the sense of like, you got to get it done. And for me, my better work comes out of that kind of pressure. I don't know why, just how the head works. There you go. But anyway, here we are. Look, we got Tracy, we got Joe, we got Billie, and we have mech-like weaponry. And those are introduced into this book as well. We get into a little bit of mechs in this. Not crazy mech stuff like in my other book, Mech Apocalypse. No, but lower key, I guess you could say, mechs do appear in this book. And of course, we still have our dangerous zombies. We have our shamblers, our sprinters, our giant undead. Plus, we also have the world of the supernatural to mess with too. So we got a lot going on in this novel. And this book, this book, I had a restriction on it in the context of telling the story. And the restriction was simply, well, it's called the Undead World Trilogy, which means 3 books, which means the third book is your final book. Like, it has to be, because you've been promoting it as a trilogy. So you can't suddenly switch it to 4 books or 5 books. So third book, everything has to come together. Everything has to get done. All the loose ends have to get tied up. We have to follow our characters' journeys. We got to make sure that they're the journey that they've been on throughout the course of the storyline, comes to a satisfying conclusion for the reader. And so that was part of this, and I had to make sure that, the stories end. As much as I like to write and keep going and going and going, hence things like the Axioman saga, which is presently 8 books long, plus a side adventure. Like, I like to just keep it going, but I can't. This is where the brakes got to get pressed. And Redemption of the Dead is where the brakes get pressed on, but not too hard, of course. We are still action-packed, non-stop, bullets flying, people running, people screaming, zombies getting mutilated. It's all here in this book. And this is the culmination of all things. So here's the back synopsis. This is what it says. A rising army, the devil, war. The forces of good and evil are gathering, each side preparing themselves for what could be their last confrontation because the commander of the armies of darkness has arrived on Earth, the devil himself. Overwhelmed after witnessing the manifestation of heaven's fallen angel, Lucifer, Billie is assigned 2 final tasks before the big battle. These assignments take her across the world, where she meets 2 German brothers who prove to be tremendous allies as she goes to recruit brave men and women for humanity's last stand, and the strange supernatural tool required to finally set all things right. Back in the city, Joe and Tracy have to lean on each other and learn that a world full of zombies with Hell's army at the door isn't a time to keep secrets and risk the lives of others to keep them safe. The 2 go head-to-head as they struggle to survive what they discover are the last days of the zombie invasion and the powerful supernatural forces behind it. This final installment in the Undead World Trilogy is a wild adventure through a post-apocalyptic world that takes the reader to the very gates of hell for one last strike against an enemy that has destroyed a planet. This is where it all comes together. This is where we fight the big bad guy. This is where darkness descends completely over our heroes. And this is where they have to let their lights shine otherwise the world is lost. Redemption of the Dead, Book 3, Undead World Trilogy. I hope you've been checking out the series as we've been doing these book spotlights, and I hope you've been enjoying it. It's definitely a different take on zombie fiction. I tried to include all the the zombie tropes, the certain things that people expect from zombie fiction, but at the same time, I wanted to do my own thing and create something unique, and that's what I like to do as a writer, is try to, sometimes take a concept that's known or an idea that's known or even been done before, but you take it and then you twist it and turn it and flip it upside down, inside out, and suddenly you got something new. Familiar, but new. And with this zombie trilogy, with the Undead World trilogy, that was the attempt. And, the reviews so far, I would say, are about 90% positive. I know the first book threw a few people off at the ending there. Even one reviewer said that the writer must have gone off his meds when he wrote it. But at the same time, as I explained in previous book spotlights regarding the Undead World trilogy, that I was keeping the big picture in mind. There's a point to the sudden turn of events in that book. And it all leads us here to Redemption of the Dead. So there it is. The Grand Tapestry, the trilogy, Undead World trilogy. Check it out. Blood of the Dead, Possession of the Dead, Redemption of the Dead. It's all yours. Go take a look.